This is Mrs. Naslund, and today we'll be doing Unit 11, Lesson 9, Add Decimal Numbers. Our learning targets for today are, I can align decimal numbers and money amounts correctly in preparation for addition, and I can add decimal numbers. So we're going to go ahead and get started. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to talk about adding unlike units. So I want us to look at these situations below, and I want us to decide why they're not correct and explain it. So let's go ahead and look at this first one. It says $23 plus 10 cents equals $33. Well, that's not right, because instead of adding the 10 cents on, they added it as if it was a dollar amount. So that didn't work, right? Instead, we'd want to do 23 cents plus, or $23 plus 10 cents, which would give us $23.10. How about this one? 5 feet plus 12 inches equals 17 feet. Oh, that's way wrong, right? They added the numbers, but one's in feet and one is in inches, and we have to add, they have to be the same thing in order to add them, right? We can't add feet and inches without converting them. So if we converted it and we said, well, 12 feet were added instead of 12 inches, then we could have done it. We could have said 12 feet plus 1 foot would equal that 13 feet, okay? How about this one? 4 hours plus 3 minutes equals 7 hours. That's kind of silly, right? Because we can't add 3 hours. They pretended that these 3 minutes were really like 3 hours instead of 3 minutes. So if we actually added this, we'd have 4 hours and 3 minutes. All right, how about this one? Think about back to our fractions. And look at this and say, oh, well, they did 2 plus 3 is 5 and 3 plus 4 is 7. But we've learned that that doesn't work, right? We can't add them unless we have that common denominator. So we'd have to find that common denominator, which in this case is 12. And we would end up adding 8 twelfths plus 9 twelfths equals 17 twelfths, or 1 and 5 twelfths if we changed it into a mixed number. And this one, here's our decimals, and they have 6 tenths plus 5 hundredths equals 11 tenths, or sorry, 11 hundredths. And this doesn't work as well because the place values weren't added correctly. And we're going to talk a lot about this one today and how to do that. And then lastly, we have 14 plus 3 tenths equals 17. Well, they just pretended that this tenths was threes and they added them on. But if we were going to really add that, we'd end up with 14 and 3 tenths. So let's first look at adding by looking at the number line, because that can help us calculate how to add decimals. So we've got 4 plus 8 tenths. So first I'm going to find my 4. And then I'm going to go over 8 tenths. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And I know it's there because there's 10 total. So it'd be right about there. So if I added those together, I would get 4.4 and 8 tenths, right? If I was writing it as a fraction, it would be 4 and 8 tenths, 8 over 10. All right, let's try this next one. 2 and 3 tenths. So I'm going to go to 2, and now I'm going to go over 3. 1, 2, 3. So if I added those together, I'd get 2 and 3 tenths. All right. Now, what about this one? 3 plus 1 and 9 tenths. So I'll go to my 3, but then I also have another whole 1 to add on. So now it's really 4. And then I'm going over 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That puts me right here. So I end up with that 4 and 9 tenths. So I just wanted you to see that. And now we're going to actually practice adding. And there's a trick to adding decimals. And it's really adding and subtracting decimals. And it's really, really, really important. And that trick is you always have to line the decimals up. Just like when we were comparing decimals, when we're adding decimals, the trick is to line the decimals up. And then once you do it, it's just basic adding. You'll be surprised at how easy it really is once you line those decimals up. So let's go ahead and look at this one. We've got $48 plus 12 cents. So I'm going to go ahead and write that out in decimal form. I'm going to go ahead and write 48, and then I'm going to actually follow it by the decimal, all right, like it's a dollar amount, and I'll put my 2 zeros like we would see dollars, and then I'm going to write my 12 cents. So I'm going to do my decimal and do my 12. And you can add zeros here. Remember, we've talked about adding zeros here doesn't change the value. But then I'm going to add. All right. Now, if your decimals are lined up, then you just add straight down. So 0 plus 2 is 2. 0 plus 1 is 1. Bring down that decimal point. 8 plus 0 is 8. And 4 plus 0 is 4. So my total ends up being $48.12. All right, let's go ahead and try another one. We're going to do 2 more, and then I'm going to have you practice 3 on your own. So we've got 3/10 plus 3/100. So again, the trick is to make sure that you line your decimals up very carefully. Here's my 3/10. I'm going to write my 3/100. Now, since this one goes over to the 100 spot, again, we can always add a 0 up here just to make it a little bit more clear. That 0 doesn't change the value of that number. And now I'm going to go ahead and add it. So I start over here in the hundreds. 0 plus 3 is 3. Go to my tenths. 3 plus 0 is 3. Bring down my decimal and add my 0. So 3/10 plus 3/100 is 33/100. All right. Now I'm going to look here. 23 plus 36/100. So it's a whole number 23. So I'm going to go ahead and write 23. And then I'm going to go ahead and put a decimal behind it because that's where the decimal would go in a whole number. And then I'm going to go ahead and add this one on, my 36/100. And then I'm going to fill in all those extra empty spots with zeros. Because again, they don't affect the outcome, it just makes it easier to calculate. So I add my zeros. I'm going to go ahead and add. 6 plus 0 is 6. 3 plus 0 is 3. Bring down the decimal. 3 plus 0 is 3. And 2 plus 0 is 2. So we end up with 23 and 36/100. All right, so I want you to go ahead and try 16 on your own. Pause the video, use a whiteboard marker, and go ahead and try it for yourself. All right, let's see how you did. So I'm going to go ahead and line these up. I'm going to start with the $5.27 just because that's the bigger number. So $5.27. And then I had 16 cents. So I know that the cents goes behind the decimal point. Add the 0 just to fill in the blank so I don't accidentally mess something up. Then I can go ahead and add. Now, it adds just the same. So if you have to carry something, you just carry it. So 6 plus 7 is 13. So I do 3. Carry my 1. 2 plus 1 is 3 plus 1 is 4. Bring down my decimal. 5 plus 0 is 5. So I end up with $5.43. All right. Now let's go ahead and let's try this one. Go ahead and pause your video again and work through 21. All right, let's give it a shot. So I had 6 thousandths plus 7 hundredths. Again, I just add the zeros just to make sure I have my place values held there. And I'm going to go ahead and add them up. All right, 6 plus 0 is 6. 7 plus 0 is 7. 0 plus 0 is 0. Bring down my decimal point, and 0 plus 0 is 0. So I end up with 76 thousandths. All right, last one for you to try. I want you to go ahead and try to do 72 and 17/100 plus 1 and 5/10. All right, let's see how you did. 72, 17/100 plus 1 and 5/10. add my zeros just as place value holders there. And then let's go ahead and add it up. 7 plus 0 is 7. 5 plus 1 is 6. Go ahead and bring down my decimal number, my decimal point. 2 plus 1 is 3. 7 plus 0 is 7. So you should have ended up with 73 and 67 hundredths. All right, we're going to do one word problem to wrap it up here. It says, Hannah has 6 and 721 thousandths liters of lemonade. She will mix it with 3 and 44 hundredths liters of raspberry juice to make raspberry lemonade. How many liters of raspberry lemonade will Hannah have? All right, so she's mixing them together, and we want to know the total that she will have. So you're going to add. So why don't you go ahead and try that on your own, and we'll see what you get. All right, so you had 6 and 721 thousandths liters, and 3 and 44 hundredths liters. Okay, I'm just going to add that 0 for place value. Add it up. So 1 plus 0 is 1. 4 plus 2 is 6. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So we have a 1, and I'm going to carry a 1. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I added up, and I forgot to bring down my decimal there, with 10 and 161 thousandths liters. And I want to make sure I'd label it liters. So today we learned how to make sure that we line our numbers up really carefully so that our decimals are aligned. And then we talked about how to add decimal numbers. Great work.